settle down so we can get right on to it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So we kind of adjusted the program a bit because of the certain exigencies. We are going to have this session first before we move to the previously scheduled program, which is the panel discussion, Town Miss Gown. And this is intellectual property rights for filmmakers. It's going to be discussed by no other person but a very distinguished partner in progress. I met him when we had a European Union conversation around intellectual property, and it's such a huge area that I continuously want to learn more and more on. So please, if your hands are not busy, help me welcome Mr. Ifeanyi Okonkwo to discuss.
Thank you very much, Richard. Okay, so when it comes to legal, a lot of us think that it's always very too public. So we're trying to make this as interactive as possible. And please, if you have any confusion anywhere, just pause me and call me. What you're about to see or what you're about to learn is something that usually firms will charge millions for. But due to Coal City Festival, we're having this for free. And I'll be throwing a lot of ideas that at the end of this class, when we walk here, we can be well inspired to try a lot of things that we may be overlooking. So let me start with this quote. The economic success of filmmakers depends on matching good ideas with good talents and knowing how to use intellectual property to play the chess. I've likened it to a chess because there is a lot of complexities, as we all know, the filmmakers in the house, around having an idea and trying to make it produce that which is the idea and then make money out of it. And while we do a lot of work on the brick and mortar side of it, we usually tend to neglect the intellectual property aspect of it. So it will be a very short class, and this is the outline. First of all, we need to ask ourselves, and for our students in the house, we need to know who is intellectual property. So what is in a name? Let us quickly do a little bit of an exercise. Everybody, can you quickly bring out your phone? Just bring out your phone. Let's say you want to create a movie or you want to create a company name. Just Google, think of a name and then Google it. Just think of a name and then Google it. Any name. It might even be your own existing name that you already have. Just Google it. I guarantee you 60% chances that you will see the name existing online. Are we doing that? Okay, if you saw the name online as soon as you typed it on Google, just raise your hand. Aha. Those that are still checking, check, let's be sure. Aha. You saw the name you thought about, you saw it online, eh? Good. So it means that a name is now very difficult to have. It is extremely difficult to have. And for those of us who even have domain names, if you register, for instance, let's say you register Coal City, okay, no, that one is long. Let's say you register fujifilm.com. I bet you there's somebody in China that's trying to register Fujifilm or Fujifilm.chi. And so what you now find on the internet in the digital space is a whole lot of names that shouldn't be, because as we will see soon, trademark protects you from any other person using that name. Only you. Only you are supposed to use that name. And that also happens in the film industry, where you have a title and then all of a sudden you see another film, maybe it tells the same story, maybe it tells a different story, and it will also have the same title. When we come to copyright, we'll discuss it. But for the purposes of film making, you ought not to have a similar name. In fact, I can think of one film producing name that has a similar name with a Western name that exists. But those things are not supposed to be. So what is trademark? Trademark is a sign. In fact, look at that slide there. It's a word or logo. It can be a letter, a numeral, signature, slogan, like everywhere you go. These things, examples, you can see Netflix, Prime Video, Showmax. All these things are trademark. It represents the quality or value of the product. What the law has done is to say, okay, if you have a trademark that you use to trade, let no other person use it. And let no other person use either the identical or confusingly similar name. So there are two protections there. Nobody can use Fujifilm. Nobody can also use Fuji Philo because it's confusingly similar. So that's what the law is protecting. And so if you have names that you don't protect, that's a big problem because the law wouldn't protect it for you unless you register it. So you see that a registration, a trademark must be registered to confer that ownership. You don't register it, you've lost it. You've dashed it to the world to use. But if that name, you've been known for that name for a very long period of time, you've been using it, even though you don't register it, there's another law that protects it called passing off under common law. It says, oh, nobody should be able to use that name because, I mean, this guy has used it over the years. This person has become known for the name. And we see a very similar case that happened, the Domitila case, right? Even though Zeb didn't register Domitila, the fact that we know that he produced that film over the years, we've known it. And that is the reason why somebody having a right at common law can come up tomorrow and say, this is my name, even though you, other person, went to register it. So trademarks are territorial. That's the first thing we must know. If you register in Nigeria, you have protection in Nigeria. You don't register it in China, you don't have protection in China. You don't register it in the US, you don't have protection in the US. So if you're thinking of a global film, you need to be thinking of the places where your audience markets are. Those places where your audience are, you should go and register your trademark there. Just to save yourself from piracy, right? And from infringement. So what? Registration affords the right of action. Of course, if you have registration, then you can go to court and say and stop the other person from using it. So trademark generally are registered, once registered, it gives you protection for 7 years. But here's the trick. After that 7 years, it's renewable for every 14 years. If you have registered it once and then you went to sit down, you don't check up on it after the first 7 years. It then falls into non-use. And when it falls under non-use, it can be taken by any other person. So if it's something, a film you did, for instance, or a name, or a production name you've used for so many years, you registered it as far back as, but you've not produced films, you've not done that for a long period of time, that name is in danger of being lost. And then the most important thing is that classification. As film producers, we should understand that class 41, 16, and 35 are the major classes to register. Because if you register in the wrong class, it's as good as you've not registered. Do you understand what I'm saying? So class 41 has to do with entertainment, which is it's a word or logo. It can be a letter, a numeral, signature, slogan, like everywhere you go. These things, examples, you can see Netflix, Prime Video, Showmax, all these things are trademark. It represents the quality or value of the product. What the law has done is to say, okay, if you have a trademark that you use to trade, let no other person use it. And let no other person use either the identical or confusingly registration, a trademark must be registered to confer that ownership. You don't register it, you've lost it. You've dashed it to the world to use. But if that name, you've been known for that name for a very long period of time, you've been using it, even though you don't register it, there's another law that protects it, called passing off, under common law. It says, oh, nobody should be able to use that name because, I mean, this guy has used it over the years. This person has become known for the name. And we see a very similar case that happened, the Domitila case, right? Even though Zed didn't register Domitila, the fact that we know that he produced that film over the years, we've known it. And that is the reason why somebody having a right at common law can come up tomorrow and say, this is me, this is my name, even though you or that person went to register it. So trademarks are territorial. That's the first thing we must know. If you register in Nigeria, you have protection in Nigeria. You don't register it in China, you don't have protection in China. You don't register it in the US, you don't have protection in the US. So if you're thinking of a global film, you need to be thinking of the places where your audience markets are. Those places where your audience are, you should go and register your trademark there. Just to save yourself from piracy, right? And from infringement. So what? Registration affords the right of action. Of course, if you have registration, then you can go to court and say and stop the other person from using it. So trademark generally are registered, once registered, it gives you protection for 7 years. But there's a trick. After that 7 years, it's renewable for every 14 years. If you have registered it once and then you went to sit down, you don't check up on it after the first 7 years. It then falls into non-use. And when it falls under non-use, it can be taken by any other person. So if it's something, a film you did, for instance, or a name, or a production you used for so many years, you registered it as far back as, but you've not produced films, you've not done that for a long period of time, that name is in danger of being lost. And then the most important thing is that classification. As film producers, we should understand that class 41, 16, and 35 are the major classes to register. Because if you register in the wrong class, it's as good as you've not registered. Do you understand what I'm saying? So class 41 has to do with entertainment, which is a core class. And then class 16 has to do with prints and all that. But it has now been revised to even digital stuff. So if you're seeing your name on the screen, on your TV, on your phone, that is as good as print. So you need to look at class 16 as one of the core places to register. And finally, if you're going to be doing an advert with that film, then you need to register it in class 35. These 3 classes are critical for filmmakers. Let's move fast. Okay, I've talked about that. So, who is the proprietor of the name of a film? Who should be in our industry? Who should actually own the name of a film? Let's think about it. This is where we should discuss. Who should actually own the name of a film? Should it be the producer who generally owns the film? Of course, with exceptions. Or should it be the writer who actually wrote the script and gave the film its name? In some cases, writers do that. In some cases, he was told, write a film on this. Then, should it be the actor whose fame had popularized the name and then somehow bring goodwill to the film, or even made the film known because of his persona as an actor? Who do you think should be the proprietor, the owner of the name of the film? Contributions, quick ones, please.
The original owner, the producer, is the owner. But in some cases, you find that there might be a producer, there might be an executive producer who brings the funds, but the producer is a writer, producer, and all that. So probably the producer, I would say.
Does anybody think otherwise? Yes, please.
I align with him for the producer, but sometimes producer is hired, and in that case when he's hired, he's not the copyright owner. So there's a copyright owner, which most times is the executive producer. All right? Some producers can also source for fund, and they're the copyright owners, and they're also the executive producers. So sometimes when you acquire a script, you acquire the entire intellectual property and pay off the writer, and it becomes your script. You acquire it. You can change the name, you can do whatever you want with it. But I'm here to listen to superior argument because you are the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I also think I would like you to ask Judy this question, if he's here. Is Judy here? Yeah, he should answer the question.
Okay, he has a contrary opinion, but is he here? Okay, after him, then we'll hear from Jude.
I have I will not tell you that one of my, assuming based on what you say with, as a writer, for one, I've patented that first, be part of it. I believe that for every film, the whole gamut of film, there are different rights. The writer too has a right. The director has some rights. The producer should have some rights in that film. Because if you take all the rights and say all the rights belongs to just one person, that's where the conflict comes in. Now, being the general argument over the class of law, yes, in the US now, where they are fighting for their rights, everybody should have the right in this movie. So I want to get from that, but the only
Okay, let's hear from Jude. Remember, we're talking about the name of the film.
Okay, well, I can't really speak too much because it's sub judice, right? So I'll just speak on the surface. Most of those rules are interchangeable. So when you talk about ownership of the rights to the film, it depends on who are the people behind the creation, the primary creation of the film. So the writer could be an executive producer. The director could also be an executive producer. So who are these people that came together to form a college of ownership? At that point in time, that college of ownership owns the rights to the film, even if they have secondary functionalities alongside the creation of the film. So I hope, as I said, it's so judice, I can't really talk too much.
Nice. Okay, I think he wants to say something.
Sometimes the right to title the film goes beyond the writer, the producer, the director. It goes to the distributor. Because some titles, the distributor determines how you even punch your trailer before you give it to them. So sometimes it may come from producer / the distributor. Because you have a contract that this company is going to distribute your film. They can't just allow you to just make the whole decision of what that title will be, because they also have a stake and they have contribution to make on how they want that project to go and where they want the project to go to. Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll round it up with a female voice. Someone raise her hand down there. Hello. Are you still interested in speaking? I would have loved to hear a female voice. Any female in the house? Okay. All right. Because of time, let's move on. So in that case, what happened is this. The law recognizes a proprietor of the mark as the person who created the name, one, and then want to use that name to trade for the purposes of that business. In most cases, that falls within the producer. Now, in that instance where you have that distinction between producers, executive producers, depending on the agreement, they can be joint owners of a trademark. But they must be doing that business together for the purposes of that business. So, all those who came together to say, okay, let's produce a film called Domitila, they are the proprietors. The sequels that come after that, forever, they should still own it, because that is the same business that is running. Am I making sense?
Go back to the writer. You You're jumping the writer. The writer.
Yes, I will address the writer now.
The writer, somebody would have written to Michila.
True.
The producer and the producer.
True.
So what happened to the writer?
True. So when we come to moral rights under copyright, we talk about the writer. But for now, suffice it to say that the producer normally would and should acquire the ownership right of that script, including the name. And once he does that, he's safe as an owner. But later we'll see the distinction between an owner and an author. Hope that's clear. Yes. Go ahead, please. Where's the mic?
Yeah, sorry to digress a little. In other clients that possibly similar than the rest of us, fine. Once you enter like a monkey don't enter, you know. I like monkey go enter somewhere for here. Just like Babel said, what happened to the writer? The moment he leaves the writer, runs.
So, as far as the legal is concerned, because eventually, no matter the monkey that enters, at the end of the day, it comes down to case, right? As far as the court is concerned and the law is concerned, the law will say who acquired the right of the script, the name. And if the producer had acquired it, then it rests with the producer. Now, the mistake most filmmakers do is when you get a writer, any writer in the house, writers in the house, I know of two. Okay, good. When you acquire a script or when you're going into production, make sure you acquire the ownership of the script. It's just simple. And you as writer, because you know that you're about to lose something very important, bargain well. Bargain well. We'll come to that later. Okay, let's go to patent. Okay, this is one aspect that we are lacking in Nigeria. And I'm very passionate about this because this is where the real gold is. This is where the real gold is. Yes, there is the copyright side and we are making a lot of money from films, yes. But even film rely on certain tools to exist, right? Like the camera, the lightning, and all that. Just imagine the first people that went to create this thing called camera. Just imagine, take a moment and imagine it. They created a thing called camera. After creating it, they went to patent it. That is what we call patent. And a patent, what is a patent? Patent is a document given to you by government saying, for this invention you have created, we recognize it and we give you protection for 20 years. No other person must reproduce this thing you have done. No other person must copy it. No other person can sell it. No other person can distribute it unless you give your consent. That is patent. And this is where the white people are making a whole lot of money. We have a client in South Africa. They created this digital things are happening. They created this digital camera that I think they wanted to use it for the film Blood and Water. Who has watched that film? Sorry, yes. They wanted to use it for that film, Blood and Water. Negotiations didn't go well. But I think the film still came out very fine though. But what happens in a patent is that tool that is being used, because it has never been done before, that invention you made, it has never been created before, ever. You are the first. Every other person in the world that wants to use it, they would have to seek your permission. So these guys, they make a lot of money from royalties, from licenses of patents. But of course, in foreign clients, what they do is they have a strong synergy between the engineering departments of schools right? As well as those other scientific, depending on what they need for their film. They meet them, they partner, they collaborate and say, create something like this for us. Because it's possible that that thing may not be in existence before, or it is something that is in existence, but it needs to be substantially improved to get what you want. So, they partner with these guys that can create it. When you commission it, you want to negotiate that the ownership of that thing will be yours. Of course, it means you pay higher. Otherwise, when they produce, they just give it to go and use, but they will have the patent, and that's where the real goal is. Because forever, every person that need that thing for at least 20 years will come to them for licensing. So, Fujifilm, that's why they're making a lot of money. And that's what patent is all about. So it's patentable if it is new, and then it constitutes an improvement upon a patented invention or process. It can be an invention or a process, a new process of doing something that has never been in existence before. The problem we have in Nigeria, however, is that they don't test your patent all over the world to see that it has not been in existence. Nigeria operates a formal paper model. You file, they see it, okay, your name is there, this is there, is there, is there. Is there any other one? No. They give you patent.
That's right.
But in foreign climes, when they have what we call substantive examination, as soon as you apply, a team takes it and starts searching throughout the world to find out whether that thing is in existence. If it is in existence, they're going to refuse it. If it is not in existence, then they will give you the patent. And oh God, you are in for serious cash. So that is the problem. Right now, we are one of the fighters. We are fighting that Nigeria should move to a substantive examination. But what we advise people to do is this: file first in Nigeria. In fact, simultaneously, file in Nigeria, because you first of all need to patent in your own country. That's a requirement. Then go to one other country, either US or use the PCT or use the Aripo platform or WAPI platform, and file that patent there as well. There they will substantively examine it, and if it flies, then you're good to go. It means that tomorrow nobody can challenge your patent. Yes?
Okay, sorry, if I invent a cashew cracking machine here, and I obtain a license from Abuja, and yes, right?
Yes, you obtain a patent from it.
Yeah, from Abuja. And some other person has that same license in the US, and he takes me on. What will happen?
What will happen
Yes,
is,
because I have a certification. What will happen?
what will happen is that even in our patent law, it is written there that the validity of your patent is not guaranteed by the registrar until the court determines it. Do you understand? So what then happens is the person can now take you to court and say, Nigerian court, look at it. This person shouldn't have been granted this patent because mine existed before. That is why we usually advise that strategy. As soon as you're filing it, file over there. It's more expensive, but it's worth it at the end of the day. Yes?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, I quickly remembered something. Big Bros here, Tego Benson, shot a film many years ago he called Blood Diamond. Eventually a movie in Hollywood came out, Blood Diamond. So who owns the patent?
So that one will be trademark. It will be a trademark. Paul, you wanted to say something? Okay.
That's what they told me actually when I was pursuing.
Yes. So assuming you have registered the trademark, Blood Diamond, and then, of course, both in Nigeria and the US, you could have fought them and collected big dough from that. Because they will now need to pay you license to now use it. Especially when they've already published. You know, they can't withdraw. So they want to negotiate. And we've seen a lot of that in scenario. We've gotten a lot of big doughs for clients. Okay. So please go back. Why I've said that one ring to rule them all is that if you have a patent, every other use in the world comes from you. Do you understand? So you have the golden ring that rules every other thing. And that is what Apple is enjoying today.
So it applies to apps, applications, and all that?
Yes. All right. So what are technical inventions? Let's think, let's brainstorm. What are technical inventions that are yet to be made at least that we need in Nigeria, but we cannot find that has been made? And is there anything you can think of in all the years of producing, something that can change the game, assuming it's a technology that can be built? I thought of only one. So imagine if someone creates an all-purpose location box that captures the various states in Nigeria. That will save you a lot of cost of movie locations. Maybe not totally, but to a very large extent. Imagine, look at what they did in Lord of the Rings. You know that thing was shot in one location, at least a large part of the film. One location, that guy is something else. And we are moving. So if you can have that kind of box, the possibilities are endless. Because of time, we may not be able to go through the story of Limera Brothers. But Limera Brothers were the guys that did the old camera photography that you're seeing today. And what they simply did is, once they saw the imperfection of the first guy, they said, oh, what can we do to capture motion pictures? And that is how they came to this. And today, look at how rich they are. All right, trade secrets. When we talk about trade secrets, people who often ask me, are you sure there is any trade secret in the film industry? What do we think? But first, what's trade secret? This is trade secret. A trade secret is an information, a peculiar information that members of the same trade, people in the film industry, they don't know about it. They don't know about it. Maybe because you went extra mile to gather this information, gather that, and then you conjure it and you have one substantive information that is changing the game. It's making you to earn more money than other film producers. That's a trade secret. Do we think there are trade secrets in the film industry? Mr. Bob, you think so?
Yeah. In fact, I think it's more in the industry because nobody tells you how they make money, but they keep making money.
That is what. Okay, I think so too. Then what makes a trade secret different? You see, the beauty of trade secret is that you don't need to register it. That's why it's different from patents and trademarks. You don't need to register it. Yours is to keep it secret for as long as you can and keep being ahead of the curve. Of course, ethically, we can say, help your brother now. That is a business, it's a war zone, right? So if you have that philosophy of a war zone, you keep it secret. And that is what Coca-Cola did. Till today, nobody knows the secret recipe to Coca-Cola. How many centuries? Oh my God. And guess what? Do you know who produced the main recipe to Coca-Cola? A chemist. A chemist. How much did they pay him? I think it was $120 or $150. That was what they paid him. They took the recipe. They now went to create Coca-Cola. After they created the drink Coca-Cola, they made sure that the recipe is not known to one particular man. So they have about 4 directors initially. Each person knows a part of the secret recipe. They make sure that these 4 directors don't come together, they don't fly together. Of course, you know why. The secret is gone if they fly together. So that is the high level of technical measures they've kept to keep that secret. And it has been so till today.
As far as that secret never comes out and you continue to create steps to keep it secret, your trade secret is protected by law. And this is why anytime you're going to bring in somebody into your crew, and the person is going to know a lot of things, my brother, let the person sign NDA. Non-disclosure agreement. We draft it for people. If you don't have one, see me now. Okay. Then, that's trade secret. Let's move fast. Let's go to copyright. All right. This is the main business of the day. And I will rush over it. So copyright is the exclusive right to control specific acts relating to certain creative works. The works recognized as copyright in Nigeria and all over the world really is literary works, artistic work, musical work, audiovisuals, sound recording and broadcast. So when we talk of literary work, books, Chimamanda book, Half of a Yellow Song, it's a literary work. Musical work, students in the house, which music do you know? Throw one at me now. Okay, so all of those, they are musical work. Artistic work, they will fail this one. Which artistic work do you know? No, I want the students. So most times they don't know artistic work. I think if you're an art student, try and know these things. Know people in these various places. It's important. That's how you grow. And then audiovisual work, that's the movie, of course, all the films we make. Sound recording is there, and then broadcast. So that's copyright. Do we understand copyright? Okay. Copyright is protected for 70 years after the death of the author. That's a long time. There are some of us that are in the school of thought that it should be reduced. I know you don't like me now. It's too much. Patent is 20 years, and that's an invention. Copyright, why should it be? So, anyways, as far as the author lives, there's copyright. 70 years after his death, there's still copyright. It is after 7 years that it falls into the public domain. After 70 years of the author's death. That's when
we're in good business.
Yes, you're in good business, yes. But the society is not happy about it anyway. But it is what it is. So you continue to make that money. That is why, listen, don't ever look down on any script writer or film producer. Never. On how that person is dying and then write you as the beneficiary of their work that they've produced. You are in money. Because even after the death, that right continues for 70 years. Fela is dead, but we are still making money for Fela's estate. For all of a sudden, the foreign world, they are not interested in Fela's music. Of course, they need to come for licensing because the copyright still exists. Now, audiovisual work, that's film, photographs, and sound recording. That is 50 years after the year in which it was first published. Remember, the first one is literary, musical, and artistic work. But this one now, that's film. This is where film falls in. It's 50 years after the year in which the work was published. So before you go copying a film or playing a film in the hotel or somewhere else, remember that number of years. You need to first of all know when it was published, and then you need to count 50 years. Otherwise, you are in serious breach. And this is something in the musical industry. This is something Kuson and the rest of them, they've gotten right. I think we need something like that in the movie industry, really. People that chase this thing off. Good. Good. And they should publicize what they are doing. People need to know. They should publicize it so that people know that you cannot just take any this thing. We have people working. Then broadcast also 50 years. So the thing about copyright is that you don't need to register it. As soon as you write it down, you publish it, there is a right given to you by law. But we advise, please register it. And this is the reason why. When there is now confusion, I was the one who brought the name of the film. No, but you didn't write the script. I told you and you wrote it. All those arguments can be overlooked when you have a government paper saying this is the owner of the copyright. So register. All your movies, they should have been registered. And then, quickly, forget this. Okay, so moral rights. Copyright gives you two rights. Moral rights, the fact that your name must be mentioned, right? And then the economic right is the right to attribution, right to reproduction, publication, performance, distribution, broadcast. If you have a copyright, only you can do all this, and anybody that does it without your consent has infringed. Call us, let's collect your money. Move. So I wanted to give the distinction. No, calm down. I wanted to give the distinction between authorship and ownership. So this is the distinction. If I write the work as a writer, script writer, I'm the author of that work, in fact, film. Right? But then, that literary work I wrote is not yet a film, right? It needs to be adapted before it can enter audio visual. If I give it to, let's say I give it to Mr. Paul and say, take, okay, produce. He pays me. But if there's no contract saying, I am giving him the ownership of the work, that's the liability he has collected. If he goes and starts making money, I can come back for him. So he needs an agreement saying that I, the author, am transferring the ownership of that work to him. That's one. Two, even after that has been done, if he goes about publishing the movie and then he didn't put my name as the writer, that's the moral right. Right? He didn't put my name as the writer. He's running into big trouble. Because my name must be mentioned as the writer of the work. You can explore some of those works that are in public domain and create an African thing from it. And let an African producer produce it. It will sell. That's something we can explore. Okay, social media. All right, students in the house. Every time you post on social media, you get followers, you steal content, you post. So these are the issues. When you copy a content, that you did not write, and then you publish as if it's yours, you've committed copyright infringement. Liable for both civil damages. You can collect all your life savings. If you don't have money, maybe they'll go after your parents. Then they can also jail you. So you need to be careful. Create your own content. Be original. I was hearing the talk yesterday about using your phone to make money. Be original. It's very easy. You can just put it and use yourself as the content. When you have to use someone else, or when you have to do a video, you need the consent of the people you are taking their image. This is what we call data privacy law. And that is something directors, film producers also need to be aware of. There is now in Nigeria something called the Data Protection Act. When you are doing that public scene thing, where you capture people's images, you need to get exactly their consent, because they will come for you. Recently we did one case, there was a movie that was shot, they tried to use that NSAS scenario in the movie. Unfortunately, the photographer or the cameraman captured some image. They even took one thing on social media, the voice of someone. the person is currently suing. The producer, after clearing all the thing with investors and all that, now it's coming up in the light. He has to start looking for money. How do I pay this guy? Do you understand? So these are the things we need to be careful about. And this is some of the things the lawyers would also help in advising during production, pre-production, and even during your development, so that you know all the things you need to do ahead of time. Okay, there's also something called AI. Has anyone ever produced movie here using AI? So we are still crawling, eh? These guys have gone far. You have? Nice. You want to tell us about it briefly? The fact that there is somebody at all that has done it deserves clap. Let's clap.
Good everyone. So I was scrolling through my phone one day and I saw a link on how you can develop a script, from a script to narrate images, from images to getting a song and then publish it. So that particular day I dedicated that day. And then I went to, first of all I started with ChatGPT, and then the story I entered there was the story of Obanje. So I instructed ChatGPT to give me a short story about Obanje, and he gave me a short story. So I copied the whole script, and then I moved to another AI app that can translate to a voiceover, and then I entered the written text from a ChatGPT. So I got the audio translation of that text. Then from there I went to Adobe Express, where I can now get the stock footages and generated footages. Then, based on the story I've written, I have to now start putting in prompts for each of those words and the text. So when I started putting the prompt for that, there are a lot of stock footages there, both moving images. I'm not talking about still images. So from there, I started putting in prompts of those my text, because I already have an audio. After generating those images, I now placed the audio translation, and then I started placing the videos on top. And at the end of the day, I published it. So it's online.
Cool.
You also find this story.
Great. Now, he has done, see all the places he did and the things he was having. There is sufficient effort. So he has done that originality. There is copyright in the output he got. No doubt. Notwithstanding, there is copyright in that thing he has gotten. And what he has done, you see, he has beat time. It takes a writer, a script writer, averagely how many years or how many months to write a script? Average, give and take. Writer in the house. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Depends. If he's not sleeping, maybe 1 month. If he's sleeping. Depends also on the story and the idea. So that is it. And ChatGPT can give you this thing at the tip of it, right? But there are dangers also with AI. There are dangers with what? AI. And these are the dangers. Now, ChatGPT, because I'm also a researcher, I've taken the time to look at all the social media as well as the various AI. They have different terms and conditions. You need to read the terms and conditions. Just go straight to the intellectual property part. Well, what you will see is that ChatGPT is saying that the input you give me is your own. The output that I give you is not your own, but it's also not my own.
I want to look for it.
Do you know why he's saying it's not my own? Because he has gone to steal people who are from different places to now give you an output. But he's not assuring you that this output is only for you. So he now went further to say, and you are giving me non-exclusive perpetual license that I can still use this output I am giving you. So that story might still be given to someone else. Do you understand? So these are the intricacies of AI. So what we advise mostly is if you must use AI, read the terms and conditions and know how to align, and then get every bit and still use your human intellect to now expand and fine-tune it, just like you did with Obanje. So those are the issues anyway. Let's move on. Legal compliance, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to give you case studies, but no, go, this is the main part, money. All right, so the money. How have we been helping filmmakers to make money using their intellectual property? The first thing is IP secularization. Not a lot of people do it, but I thank God today that, is it today that Bank of Industry is coming up? Is it tomorrow? I'm not sure. But some banks, they are now understanding the concept of IP secularization. You have a fantastic pitch. That is IP in the work. You should be able to use it, go to a bank and take loan or ask for some investment equity. Most banks are afraid to do this, so they are still crawling. But what we have seen in practice is that a lot of banks are now beginning to look at it and they are beginning to consider it. Bank of Industry is one, and I think it has sponsored some things that we know, including, I think, Fatima. Is it Fatima? Amina, yes. Bank of Industry sponsored that. We also know of Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank, they are open to that, communications. We advised them at a certain time, and they had to create a special unit for that purpose. And some other banks as well. And finally, you can do through assignment. Okay, I'm rounding off now. You can also make money through assignment of your old film. Maybe somebody can create something new out of it. Assign the old film if you want to. But look at it very well. Licensing. Franchise. Licensing is when you license. Give it to Netflix to shoot. At the end of the day, they'll keep paying you. Showmax and the rest of them. Joint venture, spin-off, merchandising and the rest of them. The final thing I would say here is collaboration. Collaboration. We cannot fly alone. You need to look out for your limitations and then see the person that has strength. Tap into it. Fine-tune it. Have an agreement and work together. People are doing a lot of things in the industry through collaboration and joint ventures. Once the thing is clear, be free to go into collaborations because you will never know what it will land to. Because of time, we can't go far, but I have to end here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Can we put our hands together one more time for you? Please, I don't have questions. We'll just take 2 questions because our time is fast. Just 2. 1, 2. Okay. Sorry about that. Yes, sir. The other questions will be publicized on our website, the answers to them.
Yeah, I couldn't talk too much in the first, when we're talking about ownership and proprietary rights. I just want to shed some more light on it. First and foremost, he didn't talk about something called chain of title. Chain of title is very, very important, both for the writer and also for the producer. When the writer has written any work of art, he, in creating that work of art, on the primary level, he owns the rights. You, the producer who has commissioned him, if you haven't commissioned him via a contract, stating the rights you are going to acquire from him, once he finishes writing that material, and you take it, you produce it, you exhibit it, it is still not yours because of that. The chain of title hasn't shown that that right he has in the creation stage has been transferred to you. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, I thought about it. Thinking about it is not the right. An idea that has not been expressed is not the right. The first person to express that idea. So I can tell you a whole story, but you wrote it. It is you that owns it, not me that wrote it. Because my telling you, there is no documentation of it. It is the person that first expresses it. So even as a producer, even if you have the idea, and it's just a 3-line idea, write that idea down. If you have the title, write the title on that paper and transfer it. Let there be evidence that you transfer it, even if via email or something that has a timestamp to it. I'm just expressing this to you guys so that body no will touch. You get what I mean? It's very important to know these things. Always express your idea, no matter how small it is. Express it in a documentable way that is time-stamped. Whether it is I'm a writer, a lot of producers call me. He was saying, he said, oh, Judah, but I need your email address, I need your WhatsApp number for me to share it with you. You see, he didn't tell me verbally. He's an intelligent man. He wants to express it via a medium where it has been documented and it has a timestamp. When he finally expresses that, like in terms of he makes that film, and he wants to sell it to Netflix or Amazon Prime or whoever, they are now going to ask him, you need to show us a chain of title. Show us, document, like as a lawyer, show us how it went from Jude who wrote it to you, and then like that, and it has come to a place where we can now acquire it. So it's very important. I just want to share this to you guys.
Yes.
Ideas are nothing. Let's go.
And just to throw a bit more light into what he said, there is I won't mention him, of course, because I'm bound by confidentiality. But there's a well-known producer that couldn't get a Netflix deal because of that lack of chain of title, that ownership. That's why it's critical. You need to make sure that if you're going to them, you are showing them that you have all the rights embedded in you. Because they pay people like us heavily to do that due diligence. And most times they will point it out and say, oh, there is a gap between Mr. A and Mr. B. So that's very critical. Yes?
Okay.
Oh, okay, after you then then we can close it then.
Good day, everybody. I'm interested in copyright, especially literary works. In case somebody publishes a book, say in US, and suddenly the book is being published in China, Japan, Australia, and so on and so forth. Is that not in breach of copyright?
Okay, so there's this thing called the international treaty, where countries of the world came together and said, okay, let us respect each other. Let's sign this treaty so that we can protect our intellectual property. So, because copyright doesn't need to be registered, and most parties, most countries of the world are part of TRIPS Treaty, and the Benin Convention, Paris Convention, and the rest of them, you might be able to still enforce it in that country. But there are some countries that specifically says that you have to still register the copyright. Like for instance, in US, there's a registration system. So that's where you may have some bit of issues, but even that can be worked around.
Sorry, can I take the benefit of being a logistics person to ask this question?
Okay.
Before her.
Okay.
You said she's the last, right?
Yes.
I want one. We have another class coming up.
Just one.
Okay. Sorry, the question I want to ask is, one is, if you wrote something, normally if you take your work to a publisher, that's for the print now. You wrote a short story or a book, prose, and you took it to a publisher, they normally give you acknowledgement letter to tell you, to show that you're the one who brought it.
Yes.
How can you use that to fight when that same company took your work to sell to other people? They didn't now publish it.
Okay.
They now sold it
So another
for another person
publish.
to publish. How do you prove you are the original? Because there is no proof they sold it. They didn't even sign anything. They just sold it as if it's.
So right there is the dangers of not registering your copyright. What you should have done before even submitting it was to meet your lawyer and say, register this copyright for me. Government will issue you a certified registration certificate, yes. When you hold that, the date is there, it's stamped. You now want to give the other person an acknowledge. So that's what you use to fight it.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is, you believe you kind of glossed over licensing rights, and this is a very important topic that should be a session on its own, because a lot of times producers are trying to license their content to Netflix, Prime Video, Africa Magic, and the rest of them. And they don't actually understand terms as simple as exclusivity and non-exclusivity. So and also another thing is most times they don't also work with lawyers. They want to do these things themselves, right? And then it becomes a question of, they are doing this with my content. No, they're not. If you look at the contract, it's right inside. Whatever they are doing, whatever rights they're exploiting across maybe, when we look at commercial terms in the contract, you have the territory, you have the rights to be granted, you have the licensing period, and stuff like that. So a lot of times, because we are looking at how much are you paying me, and it's not weighing that with what they are giving us.
Exactly.
Because when you're licensing for Africa or for global, it's not the same as licensing for Nigeria. And the amounts, the licensing fees are not the same.
True.
So I think it's very important.
Yes, because of time, I didn't go much into licensing. But the key things there to take is this. So for the streaming giants, you need to understand that they are working with very high level IP experts from their side. And then they will come to high level IP experts too in Nigeria. So they come to us too. And what we have seen, please, let this remain here. What we have seen is they will negotiate to the very last drop of the blood. We see a lot of our producers going into bed with these guys without having strong backup of their own lawyer. Let me tell you what a lawyer can do for you in that licensing negotiation. The lawyer, first of all, will look at your work. And then, for IP experts, not all law firms can do that though, but some law firms can do that. Like we will do valuation as well. We're going to try and value, at least using a quantitative method at first, to value what your IP is worth. How do you go into a bargaining this thing without knowing how much the thing is worth? And it's not about what you think it's worth, because what you think is worth within the territory could be 5,000 naira. But if you look at it from a global perspective, you could be looking at 200 million. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we look at it with that knowledge. Your lawyer should be in there to also negotiate. That's why you are the lawyer is under retainership. If you are sweating, he's sweating. If you are moving, he's moving. Do you understand? But we tend to do these things ourselves, but that's a story for another day. When you negotiated, you get a good deal. And let me tell you why you should get a good deal at that first instance. Of course, they will come to you like a standard contract, take it or leave it. But not when your pitch is good. If they see why it's different, of course, for instance, they saw why Gangs of Lagos was different. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they see why these things are different, then they will then begin to do what? To negotiate and give you the value for your money. And you need to understand that when you are doing that negotiation, there's first of all the first original listing that you need to negotiate. You also need to consider the sequel. What if you decide to do a part 2? What if you decide to do a spin-off from that movie? All those things are more rights, more money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have an organization and I employ the staff, which of course I pay every month. During the course of his working for me, created a program. I pay him every month, like I said, but along the line I find who owns the copyright of that program he created while he was working.
What was your, are you a media publishing house?
Just an organization.
Okay. His contract of employment, was it stated there that he will be creating programs and the programs he created will belong to you?
Actually, the part of the...
There was no contract.
There was no contract. I know they want to. So I like baby.
So that's the problem. So what you are paying for is for the use of what he has created. Then the ownership of what he has created does not belong to you. So that time you fired him, you have also fired the use of that program. So he takes it with him. That is why it's critical. That's why during pre-productions and all that, one of the key things you do, right, is to have your retained lawyers to do the agreement with your actors, your crew, your photographer, everybody has their own separate agreement. So that's it. The agreement could have done it, but for now, it's his own. The program is his own.
I noticed that we still have more questions. Very key.
Just one. Very important question, please. Just one. Thank you.
My apologies. Okay, thank you. Well delivered speech. Well delivered. My name is Deborah Njogo. I run a foundation. Under the foundation, I do a lot of things involved. My core is to create social content for social impact. So say
a content creator.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'm a psychologist. Okay. So I've done videos on cerebral palsy. I've done videos to raise awareness on sickle cell. I've done videos on various health issues, right? Now, if I tell a good story and I send it out just for the awareness campaign, say 4-minute short video, and it's that intriguing that after 2 years, a filmmaker takes from it and then does something bigger with it. You know, a feature film, great things. So when I put on my work, I'm not commercializing it because I want it to go as far. I even beg people when I go for conferences, I say, okay, after my speech, take this, every student download this, share with your friends and all of that, yeah? At the end of it all, I'm actually myself on the leg by allowing people have this free access to this stuff without, putting. Meanwhile, my original, interest is to make sure that it gets to everybody, so people get to know about it.
All right.
So how do I manage this situation?
All right. So the first thing is, first of all, it's also a wonderful strategy when you decide not to, own money from the first stage in order to publish, to make something go viral. Look at Pharrell. Because I'm happy, it's not what he did there. He wasn't concerned with copyright, and that thing went very viral. But now he's now making money from it. So it's one beautiful strategy. But that's for another day. On your question, what you have done by giving it out is for people to use for their enjoyment. You have not given them the right to commercialize it. Do you understand? It's like buying a book. You went to a store and you bought Chimamanda Afebi's song, you took it. You can give it to another person. You can take it to anywhere. You can read it anytime you like. You can tear it. But what you cannot do with it is to now go and start selling or copying it or creating half of a yellow song part 2. If she now asks you, now say, I bought the part 1 now. Do you understand? So that commercialization right remains in you. That company that has done that is in breach. Sue the house.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Thank you. We are going straight into the next session.